What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my 2020 Big Ten preseason power rankings. So the Big Ten was a conference that I ranked the second best conference in all of college football. I already did the SEC power rankings, so today I'm going to be doing the Big Ten. The Big Ten has so many good teams, and the Big Ten overall is only improving as a conference. So many teams are getting better. Penn State got better a long time ago. Minnesota is improving. Nebraska is improving. Lots of other teams are improving. I think the only two teams that are going to take a step back from where they were last year was Michigan will take a little bit of a step back, but then Michigan State will take a big step back. They've been declined for quite a long time, but this year it's really going to show. So before we get into the power rankings, I'm going to be giving you a list of stats from teams last year. So what they did on the offensive and defensive side, just some basic stats. So on offense, you're going to get points per game, yards per game, rushing yards per game, passing yards per game, and then their overall offensive returning production. This will be a percentage number, and it basically means, so say a team had like 3,500 passing yards last year, 2,500 rushing yards, something like that. That percentage number is basically, what percentage of that stat is coming back, and it just compiles all stats together. And then on defensive side, opponent points per game, opponent yards per game, opponent rushing yards per game, opponent passing yards per game, and then their overall defensive returning production. That's another percentage number. Same thing with the offensive side, but with defensive stats. So now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right on into the power rankings. All right, at number 14, I have the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Rutgers is, in my opinion, going to get better this year. They're bringing in Greg Schiano at head coach. He was head coach there a long time ago and has spent the last couple of years as a defensive coordinator at Ohio State. So he's going to be able to take what he learned at Ohio State and apply it to Rutgers. If you remember, Rutgers was making bowl games when Greg Schiano was the head coach there. Since they've moved into the Big Ten, they've faced a lot harder competition. Rutgers could get back up to bowl season with Greg Schiano coming back, but I think we got to give Greg Schiano 2 or 3 years in order for Rutgers to finally get to the middle road of the Big Ten. You look at their stats last year, they were one of the worst defenses in the Big Ten, one of the worst offenses in the Big Ten. They're returning a lot on their offense and defense, so they're going to have a lot of experience, but their recruiting ranking in the Big Ten was 13th, and that's the second worst in the conference, so they're not bringing in a great recruiting class. Rutgers is definitely going to have another down year, and Rutgers is an easy 14 for me. All right, number 13 are the Northwestern Wildcats. So you see up there, 11th recruiting ranking in the Big Ten, which is the 4th worst in the Big Ten. You look there, their offense was not that great last year, especially in the passing game. Only 117 yards per game. That was 14th worst. Or excuse me, that was 14th. That was the worst in the Big Ten. But Northwestern is bringing in transfer quarterback Peyton Ramsey over from Indiana, and that passing number is really going to go up. Peyton Ramsey is a really good passing quarterback. The thing that worries me about Northwestern is their defense was overall pretty good when you look third in returning production and what was a pretty average defense. If they can play better, Northwestern's definitely going to be good. But what worries me is their offense. Their rushing attack was pretty good, but overall just yards per game, they struggled to score the football. Peyton Ramsey could help with that a little bit, but the overall talent surrounding Peyton Ramsey is not that great. Northwestern is definitely going to improve, but I don't think they're going to get back to a Big Ten championship like they did 2 years ago, and this is why Northwestern's at number 13. All right, at number 12, I have the Michigan State Spartans. So, of course, Mark D'Antonio is out as the head coach. Mel Tucker is going to be coming in to coach the Michigan State Spartans. You look last year, they were not that great last year on the offensive side. Their defense was pretty good, but they're only returning about 45 or 50% on both offense and defense, so they're losing a lot. Still have some good talent, but notable players they're losing includes Brian Lewerke. He's gone. Lots of weapons surrounding him. And they're losing a lot on the defensive side. I don't even think they're returning 50% of their starters that started last year. Don't even think they're returning that. Big part of that's because, as I just said, the quarterback is gone. 10th ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten. So they're bringing in, I think, 1 or 2 guys that can really change this program. But we're going to have to give Mel Tucker a couple of years, see how he recruits at Michigan State. Michigan State is going to be a team that's going to be down for a couple of years. I think Mel Tucker could get Michigan State back up, but this year, Michigan State is not going to be that good, and that's why they're at number 12. At number 11, I have the Maryland Terrapins. So this could surprise a lot of you, but if you all remember, Maryland is getting transfer quarterback Tulia Tagovailoa, who is the brother of Tua Tagovailoa. Now, Tulia is not as good as Tua for some obvious reasons. Tua got the start over his brother Tulia, but Tulia is still really good. He can learn a lot from his brother. And Maryland's bringing in the 6th best recruiting class in the Big Ten, which is definitely a step up from where they have been in years past. I believe they're even top 25 in recruiting class. If not, then they are definitely in the top 50. We look, their stats last year were not great. They were one of the worst defenses in the Big Ten. They were a pretty okay offense, but overall not very good. They gave up a lot of points last year. So Tulia is definitely going to improve their offense. They're bringing in some guys on the recruiting side that can help with their defense. They're only returning 51% of their defense, though, which is not that good. It means you lose a lot of experienced guys. 62% of their offense, then when you throw Tulia in there. Maryland's offense could be pretty good last year. We all thought it would be something special last year after they scored 100-plus points in their first 2 games, and overall it did not look very good. So Maryland's defense is going to have to improve if they want to really compete in the Big Ten. For right now, the Terrapins are at number 11. At number 10, I have the Illinois Fighting Illini. So Illinois is a team that is only improving. They're only getting better. You see their offense was pretty good. Their defense could use a little bit of work, but they are returning 86% of their offense and 71% of their defense. What does not help them out, though, is they have the worst recruiting class in the Big Ten. That might surprise you considering they're number 10, but they do have the worst recruiting class in the Big Ten. Illinois is number 10 because they only keep improving. Lovie Smith is only improving this team. They're only getting better. You see they came back against Michigan State last year in the 4th quarter. I believe they were down 20-plus points, and they ended up coming back to win the game. Illinois is a team that's only getting better. Of course, they shocked Wisconsin last year. I think the Illini could put a scare to some teams in the Big Ten, but until their defense and offense can overall just improve, they're at number 10. At number 9, I have the Purdue Boilermakers, bringing in the 7th-ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten. You look there, their passing attack last year was 1st in the Big Ten with about 310 yards per game, and they are returning their quarterback, Jack Plummer. He is coming back. He's a big reason why that passing game was there. I know in previous videos I said David Blau is coming back, but that is incorrect. He is in the NFL, so Jack Plummer is coming back for the Purdue Boilermakers. And you see that the rushing attack was not great. It was dead last in the Big Ten, so it averaged out to be a pretty okay offense. They could beat you through the air, but you could easily stop their run game. Yards per game, around 400 yards. They are returning Rondale Moore, who was injured a lot last year. He is coming back. He is going to be a really, really good player. We all remember what he did against Ohio State in 2018. Really, really good player. They're returning 76% of their offense. And again, that includes Rondale Moore and Jack Plummer. And then 73% of their defense, which just has to improve. Their defense overall has to improve if Purdue wants to be a sneaky team in the Big Ten, and it's their defense, which is why Purdue is at number 9. At number 8, I have the Iowa Hawkeyes. So Iowa is an interesting team this year because I feel like they're still going to be decent. Iowa always plays well at home, but their schedule does not help them out at all. Bring in the 8th-ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten. You look, overall, they were not – their defense was pretty good last year. They only gave up 14 points per game. A big part of that was because of the defensive lineman A.J. Epinesa, and he is now in the draft. He is gone. They're also losing guys on offense, most notably Nate Stanley and offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. Nate Stanley was their quarterback. So their offense is overall going to take a step back. Their defense, I still feel like, can be pretty good, even with the loss to A.J. Epinesa. Yes, they're losing some other guys, but still overall a fairly solid defense in my opinion. But losing Nate Stanley and just the overall amount of talent they're losing with what they're bringing in, I was definitely going to take a step down this year. They maybe could, surprise some people and be another 8-4, 9-3 team like they have every single year. For right now, the lack of production Iowa's returning worries me a lot for the Hawkeyes, and that's why they're at number 8. At number 7, I have the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And you might be thinking, well, why is Nebraska this high? They haven't been that good. Nebraska is going to get a lot better this year. They're bringing in the 4th best recruiting class in the Big Ten. They're bringing in some pretty good guys. 92% of their offense is coming back. Now, that number does include J.D. Spielman. So I live in Nebraska. I get a lot of news from my friends about Nebraska. That does not sound like J.D. Spielman is going to be returning to the Cornhusker family. Does not sound like he's going to play next year. So that number and percentage definitely goes down from 92%, as that number does include J.D. Spielman. But it does not sound like he's going to be coming back. I don't think there's been an official statement yet, but they are returning quarterback Adrian Martinez. Of course, Maurice Washington has been kicked off the team for some stuff that he did. So that number for Nebraska is overall not reflecting what Nebraska is actually returning. The only real threat they're returning is Adrian Martinez. Now, their defense is definitely going to improve. They're returning 59% of what was not a very good defense last year. Overall, Nebraska is just going to improve this year. They're bringing in some really, really good talent. Adrian Martinez, I'm sure, is going to be playing better. Played really well as a freshman. Did not play so great as a sophomore. And then as a junior, I expect Adrian Martinez to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. But overall, Nebraska's just got to improve. They have some really good talent, but until Nebraska can improve all around, they're going to sit at number 7. At number 6, I have the Indiana Hoosiers. So I feel like this one is going to surprise a lot of people. They're bringing in the 12th ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten. But when you look all around, Indiana is not a bad team. Yes, they're losing quarterback Peyton Ramsey. He transferred to Northwestern, as I talked about a little bit ago. But Michael Penix is going to be back there at quarterback. I think we all forget how good he is because Peyton Ramsey has been in the spotlight. Michael Penix is a really good quarterback. He's more of a passing quarterback than a running quarterback, not really a dual threat guy. And you look there, Indiana's passing attack was 2nd in the Big Ten. A big thanks of that was actually to Michael Penix. Peyton Ramsey, we feel like, did all the work, but Michael Penix really did play a lot of snaps last year. Their defense overall has to improve if Indiana is going to surprise some teams in the Big Ten. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team, make a good bowl game, but if they want to surprise some teams, then their defense has to improve. They are returning 82% of their defense, so they're going to have a lot of experienced guys on that defense. 74% of their offense is coming back, and that, I believe, does include quarterback Peyton Ramsey. So he is out. The rushing attack has to get better, but if Michael Penix can continue the passing attack that Peyton Ramsey left, Indiana's going to be a good team, and it's why they're at number 6. Number 5, I have the Michigan Wolverines. So they're bringing in the 2nd best recruiting class in the Big Ten, but they're losing so much, only returning 36% of their offense and only returning 49% of their defense. They're not returning a lot. They are losing so much. They're losing Donovan Peoples-Jones. They're losing their center. They're losing linebacker Josh Uche. They're losing their 1-2 punch at running back with Zach Charbonnet and Hassan Haskins. And, of course, they're losing Shea Patterson. So Dylan McCaffrey is going to come in. They have a lot on the offensive side still, such as Nico Collins and Ronnie Bell. Tariq Black transferred out. And then they have still their tight end, Nick Eubanks. But overall, Michigan just has to find some more talent. Again, 36% of their offensive production. That is dead last in the Big Ten. That is not great whatsoever. Of course, I just mentioned linebacker Josh Uche. He is gone. They're going to need guys to step up on defense. Overall, though, when you look at their recruiting class, they're bringing in a lot of really good talent that could help boost this Michigan team. And a lot of underrated guys on their offense, as I just mentioned, in Nico Collins, Ronnie Bell, and Nick Eubanks. Lots of guys who are underrated, in my opinion. But the Michigan defense worries me so much. Michigan is going to sit at number 5 until Jim Harbaugh can start to figure some things out this year for the Wolverines. All right, at number 4, I have the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So their recruiting class is not great. It's 9th in the Big Ten. When you look last year, their offense was one of the better ones in the Big Ten. 34 points per game, 432 yards per game, over 250 yards through the air. Big thanks, and most of that was actually to Tanner Morgan, who is coming back for the Golden Gophers. Their receiving is going to lose a little bit of production. They are losing Tyler Johnson, but they're still returning 82% of their offense, and a big part of that is Rashad Bateman is also coming back. I believe their running back is also coming back, but their defense from Minnesota worries me for the Golden Gophers. Big part of that, they're losing Antoine Winfield, who had a lot of production for them last year. They're only returning 33% of their production, which might seem really, really low, but they still have some good playmakers over there on defense. But I believe that their offense is going to be one of the more explosive ones in the Big Ten next year. PJ Fleck definitely has Minnesota where he wants them to be. But their defense worries me. It was pretty good last year, but returning 33% of that is absolute dead last in the Big Ten. It's why Minnesota is at number 4 and not higher. But Minnesota is definitely going to be able to fill those holes pretty quickly, I believe. At number 3, I have the Wisconsin Badgers. So Wisconsin all around is a fairly good team. Their passing attack was not great. They are returning quarterback Jack Cohn. I'm sure they've worked on his passing attack throughout the offseason. Their defense is returning 81%. That includes linebacker Zach Bond. Lots of other guys coming back on defense for the Badgers. They're probably going to be one of the better defenses in the Big Ten, definitely in the top 3. Their offense might take a little bit of a blow. Of course, Jonathan Taylor is gone, but Wisconsin always gets running back in good shape. Wisconsin is running back university, in my opinion. They always get good running backs. Melvin Gordon, Corey Clement, and now Jonathan Taylor. All 3 of those were 3 previous backs for Wisconsin, and now all 3 are in the NFL. So I'm sure their running game will not be a problem. They're losing guys like Quintez Cephas, and Aaron Cruikshank has transferred out. Overall, they're still a really, really good team. I expect Wisconsin to be the favorite in the Big Ten West. That's why Wisconsin's at number 3. Just all around a really good team and one of the best defenses in the Big Ten. Number 2, I have the Penn State Nittany Lions. So you guys know who's number 1 by now, and I'm sure you guessed it before you clicked on this video. But number 2 is the Penn State Nittany Lions, 3rd-ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten. You look overall, they were fairly decent. They were a really good team last year. Their defense didn't even allow 100 rushing yards per game, but their passing defense really needs work. They're returning 63% of that defense. They still have a lot of good linebackers like Micah Parsons. Lots of other guys on defense around for Penn State. Their offense, they're losing KJ Hamler, but they're still returning 74% of their offensive production. Got a lot of good young wide receivers, but they really need to step up and play at a different level if Penn State is going to continue to be a good team. Their running back, they have Journey Brown back there, so that rushing attack is not going to go anywhere. In my opinion, Penn State is really the only team that has the skill set to be able to challenge the team you're going to see here at number 1. They get the team at number 1 at home. It's going to be the whiteout game. So Penn State, really, in my opinion, is the only team that can challenge the teams at number 1. That's why they're at number 2. And the team that they maybe could match next year is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Who else but Ohio State, number 1, first in recruiting? Just look at those stats. I mean, not even 14 points per game allowed. They're scoring around 47 points per game, 530 yards per game. Both of those stats were top 5 in the country. Their rushing attack was great. The passing attack was pretty good as well. Of course, Justin Fields is coming back. They are losing guys like KJ Hill and Benjamin Victor, who were wide receivers, also losing 2,000-yard rusher J.K. Dobbins, but they are bringing in transfer running back Trey Sermon from Oklahoma. And in the recruiting, they brought in wide receiver Julian Fleming to pair up with guys like Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Their offense is going to be really, really good next year, and by far and away, in my opinion, the best in the Big Ten. When you look at their defense, it was really good, but they have to replace a lot on defense. Chase Young is out. Jeff Okudah is out. Damon Arnett is out. Jordan Fuller is out. Their linebacker core is coming back. So that's Pete Warner, Baron Browning, and Tuff Borland. I believe those are going to be the 3 starters in the linebacking core for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Their defensive line maybe could use a little bit of work, but overall it's still one of the better ones in the Big Ten. Again, returning 47% of their defense, but they still have a lot of really good talent. Their linebackers back there, probably going to be some of the best in the Big Ten, if not some of the best in the country. They are returning cornerback Shaun Wade as well, with all of those safeties and cornerbacks leaving. Shaun Wade is coming back. They're bringing in a lot of good talent there as well. So Ohio State, by far and away, is the best team in the Big Ten for me this year, and they are definitely the favorite to win the Big Ten and one of the favorites to win the national title, up there with Clemson. I don't think anybody can match Ohio State this year. Maybe Penn State has a shot at beating them at home at Happy Valley. But until they can find a wide receiver, Ohio State just has way too much talent and way more talent than anyone else in the Big Ten, and it's why that they are number 1 in the Big Ten. So that's going to do it for my 2020 Big Ten preseason power rankings. And if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. Also consider subscribing if you're brand new to the channel or just enjoy my content. And if you haven't done so already, please leave a comment down below and tell me your thoughts on the Big Ten Conference. And as always, until next time, play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.